Welcome back to Financial Fundamentals, where we break down money concepts so they actually make sense. Today, we are talking about something that almost nobody talks about. That weird, uncomfortable feeling you get when you look at your bank account and realize, wait, I am actually okay. And somehow that feels strange. If you have ever felt guilty for spending money you actually have, or anxious even though your bills are paid, or almost sad about leaving behind the version of you that was always broke, this one is for you. By the end of this video, you will be able to name what is happening inside your head when money gets better, understand why those feelings show up, and start thinking about money in a way that actually matches your real life right now. Not the life you used to have, the one you are living today. Let's get into it. So here is the thing, most money content on the internet is about numbers. Save this percentage, invest that amount, cut this expense, and look, numbers matter. But what almost nobody talks about is the emotional side of money, especially the emotional side of going from struggling to stable. Think about it for a second. If you grew up watching your parents stress about rent, or if there were years where you genuinely did not know how you were going to eat at the end of the month, or if you just spent a long time living paycheck to paycheck, your brain learned something. It learned that money is danger, that spending is risk, that checking your account balance is terrifying. And those lessons do not just disappear because your income went up. That is what makes this topic so important. The emotional habits you built around money during hard times can quietly follow you into better times. And if you do not recognize them, they can actually hurt you in surprising ways. So let's name them. Psychologists who study the relationship between people and money, and yes, that is a real field of research, have identified what they call money scripts. That just means the deep automatic beliefs you carry about money. Think of them like software running in the background of your brain. You did not choose them, you absorbed them from your environment, and they shape how you behave with money, even when you are not thinking about it. There are a few common patterns. One is called money avoidance. That is where you almost do not want to look at your money, deal with your money, or think about it too much, because money has always felt like a source of stress. Another is money vigilance. That is where you are hyper alert, always watching, always worried something is about to go wrong financially, even if nothing is. People who have been through financial struggle often carry one or both of these patterns. And here is the key thing to understand. When your income improves, those patterns do not automatically update. Your brain is still running the old software. So you might have a healthy savings account and still feel panicked. You might finally be able to afford something nice and feel too guilty to buy it. That is not a character flaw. That is your nervous system doing what it learned to do. Pretty understandable when you break it down, right? Now there is another piece to this, and it comes from a pair of researchers named Mullainathan and Shafir. They studied what scarcity actually does to the brain. And what they found was striking. When people are living with financial pressure, not enough money to cover what they need, it takes up mental space, real, measurable mental space. Your brain is constantly running calculations. Can I afford this? What if something breaks? How do I cover this bill? They called this the bandwidth tax. Just think of bandwidth like brain power. And a tax means something is taking some of it. When you are financially stressed, that mental tax is being collected constantly. It leaves less room for long-term thinking, creativity, decision-making. And here's the part that really matters for our conversation today. When the financial pressure eases, those habits of mind do not vanish overnight. The brain that learned to obsess over every dollar does not just switch off. It keeps watching. It keeps worrying, sometimes for years. Another way to think about it is this. Imagine you spent a long time living in a house where the roof leaked. Every time it rained, you grabbed buckets, you moved furniture, you stayed alert. Then you move into a house with a solid roof. It is still raining outside, and your brain says, grab the buckets. That is what financial scarcity does. It trains you. And the training outlasts the situation. Okay, let's just pause for a second. So far, we have covered money scripts, those automatic beliefs about money you picked up over time, and we have talked about how financial scarcity actually changes how your brain operates and how those patterns linger. Does that make sense? Good. Let's keep going. Now let's talk about what these feelings can actually lead you to do, because this is where it gets really practical. Some people, when they start having more money, hoard it. Every extra dollar goes into a checking account and just sits there. They cannot bring themselves to spend any of it, even on things they genuinely need, because spending still feels dangerous. Other people swing the opposite direction. They have been deprived for so long that when money shows up, it is gone almost immediately. New clothes, nicer apartment, eating out every night. The brain says, I finally can, so I will. This pattern even has a name in personal finance. It is called lifestyle creep. That just means your expenses grow at the same rate as your income, so no matter how much more you earn, you never seem to get ahead. And then there is a third pattern that does not get talked about enough. Survivor's guilt. That is when you feel genuinely bad that you are doing better than the people around you, your family, your old friends, the neighborhood you came from. You might start giving money away in ways that actually hurt your own stability because you feel like you do not deserve to be okay when they are not. All three of these, hoarding, lifestyle creep, guilt, spending, they are emotional responses wearing financial clothes, and naming them is the first step to getting a handle on them. Have you noticed any of these patterns in yourself? Take a second to think honestly about that. There is no wrong answer. This channel exists specifically to help you understand this stuff without judgment, and that starts with being real about where you are. So let's walk through an example together. Not as advice on what you should do. Everyone's situation is different, but just to show how someone might start thinking about a change in income more consciously instead of just emotionally. Let's say someone's take-home pay, that is the money that actually lands in your account after taxes and any workplace deductions, goes from $2,500 a month to $4,000 a month. That is $1,500 more each month. Now the emotional response might say, hoard all $1,500, touch none of it, feel vaguely guilty about it. Or upgrade the apartment and the car and suddenly that $1,500 disappears and you are right back where you started emotionally. But here is a different way to think about it. What if that $1,500 was split into intentional buckets, just as an illustration, not a prescription for what you should do? Imagine $750 going toward building an emergency fund. An emergency fund is just money you set aside specifically for unexpected expenses, a car repair, a medical bill, something breaking in your apartment. The commonly taught target is 3 to 6 months of your essential expenses, though the right amount for you depends on things like how stable your job is. The point is, it creates a buffer, a safety net, and research consistently shows that having that buffer is one of the biggest things that reduces financial anxiety. Then imagine $400 going toward longer-term goals, retirement savings, or something similar. We will do a whole separate video on those mechanics, but the concept is simply money working for future you. Then $200 set aside as what some people call a guilt-free spending line. Money you are genuinely allowed to enjoy without stress. A nice dinner, something you have wanted for a while, something that makes life feel a little better. And $150 going to a giving line, a set amount you decide in advance you are comfortable giving to family or causes you care about. Not reactive, not guilt-driven. Planned, intentional. Again, those exact numbers are not the point. The split would look different for every single person. The point is making a decision on purpose rather than letting your emotions make it for you by default. So just to make sure we are on the same page, the big idea here is that your emotional relationship with money was shaped by your experiences, and it does not automatically upgrade just because your bank balance does. You have to do that part on purpose. Got it? Let's talk for a moment about identity, because this one is sneaky. When you have been the person who always struggled with money, that becomes part of how you see yourself. The scrappy one, the one who knows how to stretch $20, the one who never asks for anything, and then something shifts, and suddenly that identity does not fit the same way. It can feel like you are losing something, even when what you are actually doing is gaining. That discomfort is real, it deserves to be taken seriously. But it is also temporary. Identity shifts take time. Give yourself that time. All right, before we wrap up, what is the one thing from today that surprised you most? Maybe it was the idea that financial anxiety does not go away automatically. Maybe it was recognizing one of those patterns in yourself. Think about that for a second. Here is the single most important takeaway from everything we covered today. Your bank account can change faster than your brain does. And that gap between your new financial reality and your old emotional habits is normal, it is documented, and it is something you can actually work through. You are not broken for feeling weird about having more stability. You are just human. If this video helped you see your own money feelings a little more clearly, please give it a like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who need to hear this stuff. And if you know someone going through a similar thing, maybe quietly earning more and not sure how to feel about it, share this with them. They might need to hear that they are not alone. Drop a comment and tell us, have you ever felt guilty or anxious about financial stability? We go through every comment, and we genuinely love hearing from you. And if there is a money concept you have always been confused about, put it in the comments. That might become our next video, because that is what financial fundamentals is here for. Making this stuff make sense for everyone. This video is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. Markets and investments carry risk, including the possible loss of principal. Always do your own research and consult a licensed financial professional before making investment, tax, or money decisions.